Now, I'll talk about the evolving role of journalists in digital media. As digital platforms redefined the media ecosystem, the role of journalist has been expanded far beyond the traditional news gathering and reporting process. Journalists today are expected to engage with their audiences through social media, produce multimedia content, and utilize data analytics to inform and define their reporting strategies. Tantok, Zeng, and Thomas in 2018 argued that modern journalism requires a diverse skill set that includes technical competences and real time interaction capabilities. So, the rise of citizen journalism has further complicated this landscape. Some of the scholar emphasizes that while citizen reporting via social media has enhanced the breadth and immediacy of news coverage, it also raises ethical concerns around verification, bias, and professional accountability. So, professional journalists must now operate within a saturated content environment where they have to compete with a broad spectrum of content creators, many of whom may not have or may not have the capacity to stick to journalistic standards or principles. Additionally, the journalist's role as a fact checker has become increasingly vital in combating the proliferation of misinformation. As Anderson pointed out in 2014, that verifying information and countering false narratives are now the core components of journalistic practice, requiring professionals to strike a balance between timely reporting and factual accuracy. Now, I have to talk about the role of algorithms in shaping news consumption. So, algorithms have become central to how audiences access and consume news content in the digital age. So, platforms such as Google, Facebook, and Twitter use algorithms to prioritize content based on user engagement metrics such as likes, shares, and comments. While these systems enhance personalization and user experience, they also present significant challenges for journalism. So, Napoli in 2019 argued that algorithmic curation tends to promote sensational and emotionally charged content, which often eclipses well researched and investigative reporting. So, this has created a feedback loop where media outlets can tailor content to align with the algorithmic preferences and further incentivizing superficial and provocative reporting. Therefore, Bale once warned people in 2016 that such practices contributed to the formation of echo chambers where users are exposed only to those content that confirms their existing belief and thus reinforcing or fostering ideological polarization. Some scholars also raised concerns about the lack of transparency in algorithmic operations. Most users are unaware of how content is selected and prioritized, complicating efforts to promote balanced and factual reporting. The growing dependence on algorithms challenges traditional editorial oversight and raises pressing questions or concerns about accountability and media ethics in the digital age. Now, audience fragmentation and the rise of hyper partisan media. So, the personalization capabilities of digital platforms have led to a fragmented media environment where audiences increasingly consume news that aligns with their specific interests and ideologies of those digital media operators. Unlike traditional media, which served broad and diverse audiences, digital outlets often cater to niche communities. Therefore, Carlson argued in 2018 that this shift has redefined journalistic strategies, pushing news organizations to focus on targeted content to maintain audience engagement. This trend has coincided with the rise of hyper partisan or polarized media outlets that prioritize ideological conformity over objective reporting. This, Eldridge in 2019 highlighted how economic incentives encourage the production of content designed to provoke strong emotional responses, contributing to polarization and the erosion of civil discourses. The emergence of ideologically siloed media ecosystem raises ethical concerns about journalism's role in fostering a well informed and deliberative public. By reinforcing pre existing beliefs and discouraging exposure to diverse viewpoints, such platforms undermine journalism's democratic function. Now, misinformation and disinformation and the role of fact checking. Amongst the most urgent challenges in digital journalism is the widespread circulation of misinformation, unintentional falsehoods, and disinformation, which is deliberately created, that is, deceptive content. The speed and reach of social media have amplified these threats, enabling false narratives to spread rapidly across vast audiences. This, Tuesday and Napoli in 2019 argued that this proliferation, digital platforms proliferation, undermines public trust in journalism, contributing to what can be termed as post truth era, where emotional appeals and subjective beliefs often eclipse objective facts. In response, fact checking has become a vital component of modern journalism. Independent fact checking organizations and newsroom initiatives now work to verify claims and debunk falsehoods. Therefore, Anderson in 2014 emphasized that fact checking reinforces media credibility and plays a key role in maintaining journalistic integrity. However, as Carlson pointed out in 2018, that these efforts are often reactive and may arrive too late to counteract the damage caused by viral misinformation. So, media scholars increasingly advocate for proactive strategies such as media literacy education and stronger regulatory frameworks for digital platforms to complement journalistic fact checking and strengthen information integrity. Another fallout of this proliferation of digital media platform is the rise of data journalism. So, in response to the evolving digital media environments, journalists are increasingly turning to data journalism, which is a practice that integrates data collection, analysis, and visualization into a storytelling. So, this approach enables journalists to present complex facts or issues or incidents in more accessible and compelling ways. So, Pavlik and Bradshaw and Rahuma in 2017 highlighted the potential of data journalism to enhance the accuracy, depth, and analytical rigor of news reporting. So, there are many data visualization tools such as infographics and interactive dashboard help audiences better understand statistical trends and the implications of public policies, environmental changes, and social dynamics. However, some media scholar pointed out that data journalism requires specialized skills such as coding, statistical analytics, and ethical data handling that many traditional journalists may not possess. This has led to the formation of multidisciplinary teams in many newsrooms, combining the expertise of journalists, analysts, and software developers. Nonetheless, concerns about data privacy, accuracy, and ethical use of pr- proprietary algorithms persist, highlighting the need for responsible and transparent data practices in journalism. Now, I'll talk about the role of journalism in a participatory media environment. One of the most significant transformations that has been brought about by the digital media is the emergence of participatory journalism, wherein audiences can actively contribute to the creation and dissemination of information. Social media platforms such as blogs and online forums now enable users not only to share and comment on news stories but also to report events in real time. This shift has redefined the traditional boundaries between professional journalists and their audience, fostering a more interactive and decentralized news ecosystem. So, Tews and Elridge in 2019 explored the implications of this participatory model for conventional news organizations. On the positive side, audience generated content has expanded the reach and diversity of news coverage, particularly in underrepresented or underreported regions or community, marginal community, or niche topics, which has been often overlooked by mainstream media. However, this democratization of content creation also raises important concerns regarding credibility, accuracy, and accountability. Unlike professional journalists, citizen journalists or the contributors may not adhere to established ethical standards or engage in rigorous fact checking, potentially undermining the reliability of the information they share. In response, the role of journalist has evolved from being sole producers of news to becoming curators, moderators, and verifiers of user generated content. This new role demands that journalists engage more directly with their audiences, like responding to feedback, correcting misinformation, and thoughtfully incorporating public contributions into their reporting process. As Anderson pointed out in 2014, this shift presents both challenges and opportunities. While it complicates editorial control in a fragmented media landscape, it also fosters deeper connections between the journalists and their audience. Taken together, the current practices on journalism within the digital media landscape highlights a dynamic and multifaceted field constantly shaped by technological innovation, economic shifts, and evolving audience expectations. Therefore, there are numerous pressing challenges such as the spread of misinformation, algorithmic influence on content visibility, and the erosion of public trust continue to threaten the integrity of journalism in the digital age. At the same time, emerging practices such as data journalism, participatory journalism or participatory reporting, and multimedia storytelling offer exciting new avenues for engaging audiences and enriching public discourse. So, as the digital media environment continues to evolve, journalism faces critical question: how can it adapt to the demands of an increasingly complex and fast-paced landscape while preserving its foundational values of truth, accountability, and public service? So, future analysis or discourses must address these questions by exploring strategies for developing sustainable revenue models, enhancing information literacy or media literacy, and rebuilding public trust in an era of media fragmentation and digital disruption. Here, I will give some of the notable examples of participatory journalism, illustrating how audiences actively contribute to the news making process. The first example is Arab Spring, which happened between 2010 to 2012. During the Arab Spring uprising across the Middle East and North Africa, citizen journalists used social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to share real time updates, videos, and photographs from protest sites. Traditional media outlets often relied on this content due to restricted access to some of those areas. Then another digital media platforms which is very much prominent in Africa, which is USAID platform. So it is developed during the post-election violence in Kenya. So USAID allowed users to report incidents of violence via SMS, email, or waveforms. These reports were then mapped and verified. It became a model for crowdsourced crisis reporting globally. Then CNN's report in 2006 to 15, CNN launched iReport as a platform for user generated news content. Citizens submitted photos, videos, stories, and some of which were verified and featured in CNN's official broadcast and website. Reddit's also news and our world news. On platforms like Reddit, users often share breaking news stories and participate in collective news verification. In major events such as natural disasters or political upheavals, Reddit communicates Reddit communities act as a collaborative newsrooms, updating and correcting information in real time. Then BBC's Have Your Say. The BBC encourages audience participation through its program called Have Your Say platform, where users share their personal experiences, opinions, and event footage related to news events. So these contributions are sometimes featured in BBC reports as well. Twitter hashtag journalism. So hashtags like Black Lives Matter, Me Too, or Jan Andolan in India have been central to participatory journalism. So individuals use these platforms to share their experiences, call attention of the authority to issues raising concerns, and challenge mainstream narratives, often prompting traditional media coverage. Then collaborative fact checking like Alt News, Boom Live in India. Platforms like Alt News and Boom Live often involve readers in flagging suspicious content, submitting leads, and crowd verifying facts. So, this participatory process strengthens the media's accountability mechanisms. Wikinews, which is a lesser known sibling of Wikipedia, Wikipedia allows anyone to write and edit news articles provided they adhere to community guidelines and strive for neutrality. It exemplifies a community driven news model. Then, mobile journalism, which is known as Mojo. With the rise of smartphones, ordinary people can also capture and share newsworthy content instantly. So, apps like Bellingcat's online tools encourage citizens to participate in open source investigations, including war crimes and political corruption. So, to conclude, I must say that this digital transformation of journalism presents a complex interplay of opportunities and challenges. While technological advancement have democratized content creation and expanded the reach of journalism, they have also led to the erosion of traditional journalistic standards, the spread of misinformation, and increasing economic pressures. The rise of algorithms, audience fragmentation, and engagement driven revenue models has further complicated the media landscape, often prioritizing virality over veracity. Yet, amidst all these disruptions, journalism continues to evolve, embracing data storytelling, participatory models of journalism, multimedia platforms to engage audiences, or multimedia style of storytelling to sustain credible journalism in the digital era. It is essential to reaffirm core values of truth, accountability, and public service, while innovating responsibly and fostering trust through transparency, education, media literacy, and inclusive practices. Thank you very much.